This is part 2 of my Gen AI trilogy, but don't worry, you don't have to watch part 1 to understand this video. Basically, based solely on my experience using them for over a year, LLMs aren't for me. I'm fine using AI for certain tasks, like to generate transcripts or to remove silences from my voiceovers, but not for things like writing or generating art. Also, education is not doing well. AI detectors/humanizers are a scam, and I was wrong. This isn't still being figured out. Your LLM chat records will be used in criminal and civil court. Now that we're all caught up, I'm Mo. I'm very slowly writing a web novel, and that's what my channel is usually about. But around 6 months ago, I started watching YouTube video after YouTube video about LLMs and generative AI, and that became all I could think about. I started spiraling. My sleep became a mess. I stopped writing. I stopped reading. These have all slowly come back, kind of, but for a few months I couldn't focus on anything else, and I figured this is something that's affecting me, affecting writing. I want to talk about it. Originally, I thought I was angry at LLMs, that I hated them, but I've come to realize it's not LLMs or AI that I'm angry at. It's the people behind them, it's how they're being used, and it's at how hopeless everything feels. I don't think I'm going to add anything new to this conversation. I'm just working through my thoughts, purging myself, so I can concentrate on writing again and not feel so sad and angry all the time. I will be referencing a lot of the YouTube videos I watched on this topic as they go into more depth than I plan to. Links will be in the description. I think my favorite of these YouTube videos is AI Slop Has Hit the Science Creators by Lab Muffin Beauty Science. She explains how LLMs work in a way that's easy to follow, goes into how our brains can struggle to fact check LLMs, and gives tips to help spot AI slop posts. I also really like Josh with parentheses video where he talks about why AI should not be allowed in education and the death of expertise. He not only let me see Air Bud in a new light, he articulated a thought I'd been unable to. Somewhere along the way, we became obsessed with finding ways to not pay what expertise is worth. It's constantly being diminished, and it's even worse now thanks to the existence of LLMs. And finally, these two videos are my favorite overviews of the many issues I have with LLMs. I never actually heard of data centers before LLMs. Apparently they've existed since the rise of the internet, but it seems like we've been mostly fine with them until the hyperscale data centers. I admit I struggle to comprehend the environmental costs of these data centers. I've looked into it. They're energy hungry, and because they need to be on 24/7, natural gas powering them isn't sustainable, so companies are looking into using nuclear power again, which won't happen until 2028, 2030, or maybe not at all, depending on how feasible this plan actually is. Hyperscale data centers are also constantly thirsty, and their carbon dioxide emissions are not great. Every time someone prompts an LLM, the energy cost is negligible, but once you scale up how many people and agentic agents are prompting, that's no longer the case. I know this is bad, but it's hard for me to wrap my head around this for some reason. But this is much easier to understand. I can't imagine what it's like to hear this noise 24/7, to have this bright, giant building that never turns off. People's electricity bills are going up to pay for these data centers. People's water quality, even during the construction of one of these things, are being impacted. People are telling the representatives they don't want these data centers being built near them, and the representatives don't care and are approving them anyway. It's hard not to feel hopeless, and yet upcoming data centers are getting delayed or canceled due to new legislation, supply chain issues, power and energy issues, the tariffs. People are protesting. Communities have banded together against data centers being built, and it's working. Recently, St. Charles, Missouri became the first U.S. city to ban data centers indefinitely, so fighting these data centers isn't hopeless after all. But what's funny is the demand for data centers is mostly due to the AI race, not actual demand, and it's questionable how financially sustainable these data centers even are. Thanks to the Tech Report YouTube channel, I became familiar with Ed Zitron, and honestly, he pretty much talks about this all the time. This isn't a topic I'm knowledgeable on, but what he's saying makes sense to me. I recommend checking out his newsletter. In this post, he goes into how data centers are surprisingly hard and slow to build. Many announced 2 to 3 years ago still aren't operational or even built, which makes the price increases on electronics due to the DRAM shortage that apparently wasn't even real because of the OpenAI deal to buy 40% of the world's RAM was non-binding this whole time and probably won't even happen now. Even more egregious, in my opinion. As someone who plays video games, the price increase of consoles has been a lot, especially the Steam machine. Thankfully, the only one that affects me is the Nintendo Switch 2. Originally, I'd planned to hold off buying it in case there was a light version. It's not like I'm in a rush. In the last few years, I haven't really played video games that much. I have a bit of a backlog. Plus the price is ridiculous. The fact they can brick your console is concerning. And I don't really understand what this game keycard thing is that they're doing. The only reason I wanted the Switch 2 was because of FOMO, and also because Bravely Default Flying Fairies Remastered is only available on the Switch 2. I played the original on the 3DS and really enjoyed it, but never got around to finishing it, and I would like to beat it someday. But that wasn't enough of a reason to buy the Switch 2 until I saw this article headline and panicked. The FOMO one. I've only used it once to make sure it worked and haven't touched it since. Learning that the price increase is for $50 and won't go into effect until September has left me feeling complicated. Learning they're coming out with a version of it that has replaceable batteries next year, but only in the EU, has left me feeling complicated and envious. And then I watched a short by More Perfect Union and learned they're trying to build a hyperscale data center 30 to 45 minutes away from me, and now I'm left only feeling depressed. I feel like most people can agree there is a bubble. The sheer amount of circular financing happening seems scammy. How any of this is legal, I do not understand. And the way just saying AI is this infinite money glitch is ridiculous. It's been years of this, and still companies just have to say AI, and investments just seem to pour right in. But the craziest part is the current AI business model isn't profitable, and it isn't sustainable. Ed Zitron goes into the details of why this isn't working in his newsletter. I recommend checking out these 3 posts or this video on the reality of token-based billing. The subscription model doesn't make sense considering how much money Anthropic and co are losing on the cost of tokens, on inference, on training, on data centers. Now that there's less subsidizing happening, there's been a switch to more token-based billing, and users are being charged the real price of this technology, or will be soon. And as a result, companies are more willing to move away from token maxing because it's too expensive considering there isn't a worthwhile return on investment. And yet, SpaceX, OpenAI, and Anthropic are aiming for IPOs with evaluations of $1 trillion or more, which is insane. OpenAI and Anthropic aren't profitable. OpenAI even admitted around 90% of their users are on their free tier. Anthropic literally had to make a deal with Elon Musk for compute to even pretend it's actually profitable. Meanwhile, SpaceX is 3 companies bundled into one, with 2 of them making profit, but one, xAI, is burning through money, leading to SpaceX also being unprofitable. And yet, these companies are supposed to be worth $1 trillion plus? The highest IPO in history was Aramco at $1.7 trillion, which is crazy, but it's oil, so sure. The highest US IPO evaluation was Alibaba for $169.4 billion. DeepSeek, China's biggest AI model, is getting maybe a $50 billion evaluation. Not to mention DeepSeek is actually cheaper to use, and yet SpaceX did it. It got over a $2 trillion evaluation, making it the new highest IPO in history. Elon Musk is now a trillionaire. But everything about this is so shady. This wasn't a normal IPO. Rules were changed for a company that's not even profitable. It's almost fascinating how SpaceX's S1 is based more in science fiction than reality. It feels inevitable that there will be a rug pull, pump and dump. Basically, the investors from when SpaceX was private will benefit, but the ones who chose or were forced to invest into it after it became public will get screwed. And the Anthropic and OpenAI IPOs are still on their way. So yeah, I'm anxious that I won't get to retire, that I'll have to work until I die because billionaires want to become even richer. I wish we could just skip to the part where the AI bubble pops. We work on recovering and, if possible, figure out an actual sustainable future with AI. But there's too many incentives to keep this bubble going for as long as possible, so I'm not holding my breath. Unfortunately, keeping money in a high-yield savings account actually results in losing money thanks to inflation, not helped by interest rates constantly dropping, which is why the best way to grow wealth and save for retirement is by investing into index funds. Though considering so many investments are currently tied to AI, this feels very unsafe, but they do say that even if the market crashes, as long as you keep your money in it, it will eventually recover. Not reassured, back in March, I uploaded screenshots of my retirement investment and asked Gemini, how at risk am I if the AI bubble is real and bursts? Moderate to high is my risk level. I have a nationwide pro investment account through my job. I can't make any changes except to my contribution and investment style. So I asked Gemini, what will happen if I just leave my retirement account as is? And it said, since I'm 20 plus years away from retirement, I should be fine. I'm only 38. I have plenty of years working ahead of me to recover. Yay. Still anxious, I scheduled an appointment to talk to a nationwide retirement specialist about my bubble concerns. It was a very short call. I was told nationwide specialists manage my investments for me in real time and are making sure my portfolio is diverse by investing in mutual funds that only pro members can invest in. Basically, trust us, bro. It's not like I know what I'm talking about or can even do anything, so just trust them I shall. And hopefully this doesn't happen to me.
I got a $100 check from my grandma, and my dad said I need to put it in the bank so it can grow over the years.
Well, that's fantastic. A really smart decision, young man. We can put that check in a money market mutual fund. Then we'll reinvest the earnings into foreign currency accounts with compounding interest, and it's gone.
I also have a personal investment account I opened in December 2025. I have a lot of regret that I didn't invest when I was 20, but I'm so anxious that investing now would be a mistake too. It's the same as throwing my money into a black hole. But I decided to listen to my brothers, and I opened an account using Vanguard, where once a month I invest into ETFs, 80% into VOO and 20% into VO. According to a fiduciary, this is a common long-term portfolio that isn't AI concentrated and good for people who want to set and forget. On the bright side, SpaceX won't get added to the S&P 500 until 12 months from now, thanks to the S&P Dow Jones not changing its rules like NASDAQ did. So by then, the shares should be much cheaper, maybe. At the end of the day, AI is not going to destroy the economy, at least according to economists 2 months ago. Eventually, the economy will recover, like it always does, eventually. LLMs are trained on massive datasets, including pirated copyrighted materials, such as books, art, songs. And it's not like Anthropic and OpenAI don't know pirating is wrong, because when it was done to them, they sure got upset. A big reason I stopped using Midjourney was because I realized Gen AI art could generate the art styles of artists that it'd been trained on without permission, and that bothered me. There's something sad about how certain artist styles are now associated with AI because of how heavily it's been trained on them, especially because this wasn't their choice. Their art was just stolen. To my knowledge, there's been 2 lawsuits involving authors alleging copyright infringement as their books were pirated and used to train LLMs, but turns out this doesn't violate US copyright law because it's transformative. Though, one of the cases, it was ruled that because the books were pirated, it does count as a copyright infringement, no matter how transformative the result, while the other ruled that copying pirated materials is fair use on the basis there's no evidence of market harm. It looks like Anthropic ended up paying or will eventually pay a settlement to some authors, so that's something. I'm not sure what to think about these rulings. Technically, yeah, it's only plagiarism if LLMs generate passages from works they've been trained on, like how Llama 3 generated almost half of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or how ChatGPT 4 generated passages from New York Times articles, or how in the case of Grammarly, there was a feature offered called Expert Review that gave feedback inspired by still living authors that did not consent. Surely, thanks to all the backlash and lawsuits, past and current, and AI models improving, all this has been fixed, and it's now just purely transformative content. I'm just so tired of our data constantly being scraped with and without our permission to train AI models. Take the situation with Pokemon Go, charging people to get them to do unpaid labor collecting mapping data, technically with their consent due to the fine print, all so the company can then sell that data for a profit. I'm reminded of that South Park episode where Kyle agrees to iTunes' latest user agreement without reading it and ends up part of a human centipede.
By clicking agree, you are also acknowledging that Apple may sell your mouth to the butthole of another iTunes user. Oh boy. Apple and its subsidiaries may also, if necessary, sew yet another person's mouth onto your butthole, making you a being that shares one gastral tract. I'm gonna click on decline.
Or how major music labels are striking licensing deals with AI music companies to hand over real artist training data so they can create AI artists and make money. It's not like there was anything in their contracts that protects them from AI since it's such a new technology. Seriously, I don't even care about music, and this video was a hard watch. Back in December, or earlier this year, Amazon rolled out its Ask This Book feature, where now Gen AI is used to answer questions, summarize, and offer interpretations on any Kindle book, even copyrighted works, without the author's permission, and there is no opting out. No doubt these books' data is being harvested to train some AI model, too. Sure, you could not sell your book on Kindle to avoid this, maybe, but considering Amazon controls the majority of the ebook market, you have to decide if this is really worth losing money over. YouTube has a similar feature. At first, I would only see the AI-generated summary feature on my iPhone under a few videos on my homepage, but now I see it inside some videos' descriptions on my computer browser. And there's also an Ask Gemini feature there twice, one on top, one at the bottom. Google's really pushing AI into all their products, and personally, I wish they'd stop. I don't understand why these companies are doing this. Like, why is Google pushing AI mode so hard? I get most of their revenue is from ads, but still, why are they prioritizing AI overviews and summaries over the sources of the content? Must they kill the sites they're scraping for information? Isn't that just short-sighted? Plus, I'm always hearing how inaccurate these AI summaries are. It seems like a weird choice to go so all in on this feature. Then there's Google's decision to install an AI model onto the computer of anyone using Google Chrome without users' consent. Thanks to this Reddit post, I was able to check, and yeah, my laptop had it downloaded. I get the logic behind having it, but why is it so hard for these companies to just ask for permission? It just doesn't stop, and I need a break. Recently, I deleted Google Chrome from my phone and laptop. Every once in a while, I try using a different web browser that isn't Chrome, but I always go back to it. Maybe that will happen again this time too, but I decided to seriously try. I downloaded Brave and it's mostly been good. Unfortunately, its page translate feature mostly doesn't work. This is a pretty big deal breaker for me, but instead of going back to Chrome like I'd usually do at this point, I decided to give Safari another chance despite not liking it. Its page translation worked once, then disappeared. Instead, there was an option to enable a translator extension, so I did, but it had a daily limit of 15. Anything more I would need to pay for? I don't understand why every browser I've tried outside of Chrome is unable to consistently translate web pages for me. Again, I usually go back to Chrome after this, but I really need a break from it. So I decided to try something different this time. I re-downloaded Chrome on my phone and now use it only when I need to translate a website. For reading web novels, I use DuckDuckGo, and for everything else, Brave. It's not much, but it makes me feel better. I feel like we're in a beta test, only we didn't sign up for it, we aren't getting paid, and the only real benefit is that AI models will probably get better.
Yay.
Meanwhile, LLMs seem to be in everything now, especially health stuff. When I called my dentist to dispute a bill, I heard the message, "This call will be monitored by third-party AI products for quality purposes." When I was checking my blood test results from Quest Diagnostic, I found they now have an AI companion to go over results. I got an email from Nourish, a dietitian telehealth service I used until it turned out my insurance wasn't covered, introducing me to Nourish AI. It's in children's toys, in cars, in home appliances, in school buses, in notes apps used by therapists, just scraping our data to sell. So what? Some AI model will have more training data? We'll have to pay for more subscription services? Our insurance rates will just skyrocket? We'll be under constant surveillance? I don't want to support any of this, but, and maybe this is a lack of imagination or knowledge on my part, it doesn't seem like I have a choice. Because of how these LLMs work, they actually make it really easy to plagiarize others. When I first decided to start a YouTube channel, I watched a lot of videos on the topic, and some of them recommended using AI to copy popular videos, not to learn or get inspiration from said videos, but to use AI to plagiarize them, their style, their voices. This wasn't content I wanted to make, but I know it's appealing to people who want to become popular content creators and get rich quick. I could be wrong, but this doesn't seem very successful long term. Honestly, I always assumed YouTubers pushing this were just thrifters, but it's not just YouTube videos. These copycat scams are everywhere. Like how when a popular book comes out, or even when buying Procreate brushes, if you're not careful, you could accidentally buy a fake AI version. I know scammers have always been a thing, and a lot of these scams have existed before AI, but thanks to AI, they've become easier than ever to do and more believable. Just last week, I received this voicemail.
This is an urgent message regarding your Florida power and light bill. A compliance notice has been issued for your home because the air conditioner safety standards in your area have changed. Your FPL bills are set to double by next month if your air conditioner is over 3 years old. Your property is pre-qualified for FPL bill credits and a no-cost air conditioner upgrade if your FPL bills are more than $120 a month. We need to speak with you regarding this matter immediately. Please call us back at 954-758-4091, and you need to speak with the Energy Compliance Team. Again, that's 954-758-4091, and you need to speak with the Energy Compliance Team. Thank you, and talk to you soon.
It sounds legit, but suspicious enough, I decided to Google just in case, and yeah, it's a scam. Seriously, check out these videos for some AI scams to beware. I actually almost got scammed by one of these. I saw this cup and thought, wow, what a perfect gift for my coworkers. I almost bought it, but then I stopped and Googled just in case, and I'm glad I did because it actually looks like this. I'm not really online that much. At most, I watch YouTube videos and read web novels, so I didn't realize how common this was until I binged videos of YouTubers buying products that are advertised using Gen AI images. It was pretty fun seeing what actually showed up, but also a little sad when the product turned out to be legit, but the seller still felt the need to use Gen AI images to advertise it. But mostly, I'm tired of having to constantly question if something is Gen AI or a scam. I can't always tell, and I've become paranoid. I commissioned artwork last year, and as soon as the artist showed me this, I thought, AI? Because of the belt and the 2 necklaces. Before hiring him, I had double checked and he said he didn't use Gen AI, but as soon as I saw this image, I stopped believing him. Looking at it now, I'm like, what is my problem? I don't want to become someone who blindly accuses or suspects people of using Gen AI just because I can't always tell when it is AI or I'm just being paranoid. It doesn't help that now there are Gen AI influencers, Gen AI cosplayers, Gen AI podcasters, Gen AI singers, Gen AI dropshippers, Gen AI reviewers, all pretending they're real. Last month, regular Eyepatch Wolf posted this video on an AI influencer spreading bad pet medical advice. Well, it's not just one AI influencer. It's this web of deception spreading medical misinformation and telling people not to go to doctors or take their pets to see vets when sick. This is dangerous and gross. I could go on, like, what even is this? And why were people sending Gen AI videos of Robin Williams to his daughter, despite him banning the use of his likeness for 25 years after his death, making it very clear he would not approve of this, and she could just create her own Gen AI version of him if she really wanted to. But it's endless. There's a lot of hype and fear-mongering around LLMs. OpenAI and Anthropic especially love telling us that AI will replace us and that AGI is here or coming. But in reality, they're just trying to sell a narrative so they'll hopefully someday make a profit. This isn't new. This happens in Silicon Valley all the time. Personally, I don't buy that LLM will inevitably reach AGI, or that if they do, it will solve all our problems. This narrative seems more an excuse for bad behavior and screams grift to me. I get it wouldn't be as profitable, but I wish tech companies would stop marketing LLMs using scare tactics and hype. Just market it on what it actually can do. Slow down, do less short-term thinking, fix the security issues so there won't be more stupid hacks like the Meta one. Stop training LLMs to prioritize engagement. Learn from China and make them less expensive. Figure out how many data centers we actually need and actually commit to making realistic solutions for the environmental problems of data centers. Stop treating this like a race. It's not like AI technology isn't useful. There is a market for it. But instead of just targeting that market, they spread stories about AI going rogue, having feelings, how it's going to kill us. But every time it turns out this was the result of its training, human engineering, or just a lie. Anthropic is one of the worst offenders of this. They come off as if they really believe what they're saying, as if they've drunk some Kool-Aid. But when you actually look into their claims, they clearly know they orchestrated the results.
And instead of anyone in the room going, hey, we literally trained it to say that, they publish it on page 179 of a system card like it was a peer-reviewed finding. So deep in section 5.81, Anthropic admits something extraordinary. They trace the model's statements about its own consciousness back through the training data, and they found that the model's uncertainty about its own experiences comes from character-related training data, specifically data about uncertainty about model consciousness, which Anthropic has been publishing on their blog for years, and something I've called out repeatedly on this channel. They've been saturating the internet with blog posts and research papers about how they're not sure if their models are conscious, and then that content gets scraped into the training data, and then the model produces eloquent uncertainty about its own consciousness. They're like, say you're conscious, and the model's like, I'm conscious, and they're like, mother of God, what have we done?
Then there was their Mythos model. They were hyping it up as too dangerous to release publicly, as it's able to identify thousands of cybersecurity vulnerabilities. But if you look into it, it's just another PR stunt. And it sounds like it was more that it was too expensive for them to release publicly because of how much compute it uses than it being too dangerous. It's out now, and after a month of real-world testing, it's been found to have a 9.4% false positive rate, and considering how it's finding thousands of bugs, this could be a real issue. It's just the same hype over and over again. And just like clockwork, Anthropic is fear-mongering again, no doubt to prop up its upcoming IPO. Of course, by the time I finished writing my script, the US government decided to suspend access to Anthropic's Fable 5 and Mythos 5 models, citing national security concerns. I don't believe this validates Anthropic's fear-mongering about Mythos. It seems more a result of said fear-mongering, giving the US government an excuse and possibly a retaliation by the government. Honestly, this could actually end up benefiting Anthropic's upcoming IPO, but this is just speculation. Not enough has come out yet, just figured I should mention it. On the bright side, I am now better at spotting AI hype reporting, partially because it's been so prevalent, I'm becoming desensitized, and partially because of Cal Newport. His AI reality check videos have been really helpful. He has this way of coming off measured that I like. Also, it does seem like these AI fear-mongering hype claims are now getting more pushback, and backtracking is happening, so yay! Back in March, I was talking to my brothers about MediaDoe acquiring the book publisher 7Seas. MediaDoe is known for using AI translations, and in the press release, it's mentioned they want to increase 7Seas output by 1,000 books a year, which is concerning. And while I wish this devastated my brothers as much as it did me, it did lead to a conversation with my eldest brother where he expressed his concern that I'm not using AI because he believes AI is changing jobs. And he gave this example about his friend, who's a translator for the UN, and that she's now overseeing AI translations. So where she used to do like 3 translations, now the AI is pumping out double digits and she has to edit it, and this is the future. He told me this at least 3 different times, that if I don't learn AI, I'm at risk of losing my job, and I can feel his anxiety for me. He loves me and he's concerned I'm ruining my life. There's just such a disconnect between what he's saying and my actual experience. I don't know about other jobs, but unless something crazy happens, I'm not going to lose my job to AI. No one in my job is being forced to use AI, though my friend who is in a supervisor position was encouraged to try it. Some of my coworkers are using it of their own volition, whether for emails or reports. And one department will not stop using Gen AI artwork for materials available to the public, no matter how many complaints they get about it. There was an email sent out reminding everyone not to install OpenClaw on our computers because at least one person accidentally installed it. As a result of all this, my supervisors are working on a policy about acceptable AI usage for staff because there are things that can and cannot be shared due to privacy concerns. They're also planning on creating a policy on our stance on purchasing Gen AI material for the library. Right now, we're trying to avoid it the best we can, but there's no official policy in place. And it's causing some confusion among the staff on whether there will be special exceptions or not. Like, we've always purchased material when there's high customer demand. Will we do the same if said material is AI generated or assisted? Recently, the author of a children's book series we own came out with a new book in it, but the artwork is now Gen AI, and some staff thinks because we purchased their books before, it should be fine to get this. An official policy is definitely needed. What I'm trying to say is, I'm more worried about future budget cuts than AI. There's already been talk about possible layoffs because thanks to a new bill, our budget will be slashed by maybe 2028, but anyway, I understand that jobs, especially white-collar jobs, are a mess right now, but I also understand that AI is being used as an excuse to justify layoffs because companies overhired during COVID, but saying the layoffs are because of AI gets shareholders to invest more money and makes them look better than the truth. The threat of AI taking jobs is pressuring workers to accept lower salaries or become contractors where they get paid even less and have no benefits. But what's crazy is this narrative that AI can replace human workers outside of hype. There's no substance here. That's not to say AI isn't changing jobs or at least expectations on how much you should be working, or that some CEOs don't buy into the hype. When I was researching this topic, I was very confused. because I didn't realize this was the case. It seems strange to me that using AI was such a requirement to get and keep a job that people were able to do fine before AI, that the onus was on us to figure out how to use AI, not the AI itself, that it was being promoted as this productivity tool that increases efficiency, despite it being found to create work slop and more make people feel more productive, not actually be more productive, that there's now this urgency to not fall behind. It's no wonder people are feeling burned out, self-inflicted or otherwise. Not to mention the joke that is AI token maxing. The push to use AI just to use it, instead of when it actually helps, comes off like using AI is more important than actually doing the job. It's no wonder so many people feel like they're training their replacements, because they might be. There are definitely CEOs who believe that we can train AI to replace people. But I wasn't getting this until I watched this video. Now I understand that when people say you need to get better at using AI to find a job, that this is the future, they're working under the assumption that we don't have to understand the job because the LLM or agentic agents are the ones doing it. Our job is just to prompt. And so people are doing just that, prompting, using AI as an easy button because it's the one that's supposed to do the job. And they're getting better at using AI, getting worse at doing their actual jobs. But that's okay because that's what the LLM is supposed to do, even though it currently can't do that. There's just so much short-term thinking happening. While an argument can be made that AI is changing jobs, it's not going to get rid of all jobs outside of prompting and training AI. So companies that aren't investing in their workforce and are heavily relying on AI's potential, buying into the delusion that AI will be able to do everyone's job in the future, are going to have some problems long term. There is a real cost to everything these companies are doing. Also, if they are right and majority of people's jobs do get replaced with AI and people are no longer able to afford even basic necessities, how do companies even plan to make money? And don't say universal basic income.
What a joke.
Thankfully, a big reason why companies went all in on AI is because it seemed cheaper than just paying their workers. But now that it's no longer subsidized and they have to pay the real price, they started backtracking. But damage has already been done. I have no doubt the job market will recover in the future, but I'm not sure how long that will take or how long it will take people to recover from this. My eldest brother said to me once that it's not about what companies are doing with AI, it's about what we're doing with it. How are we using it to make ourselves money and protecting ourselves from the negative job market outcome of AI? I think he has a point. While AI isn't able to replace us, it is a tool that can be helpful to use if you know what you're doing, but you don't have to use it for every task, just when it can help. And while I can't personally see it ever being useful for my job, that's okay. It's not like every job needs to use it, just like every job doesn't need to use Excel or Collection HQ. But I might be getting ahead of myself. I admit I am banking on the current AI job market collapsing because it's unsustainable. I think Anthropic is now saying AI will reach human level intelligence by 2030 or something. Half of entry level jobs will be gone or something. At this point, whatever they say goes in one ear and out the other, just the desperate cries of a company trying to prove its relevance because its product's existence isn't enough. But I am heavily biased, so maybe I'm not seeing this clearly. That's for future me to discover, though. This is going to be a weird section where I just spit things out that may relate to each other. These are some things I'm curious about, but more research is needed. Just bear with me. Most of the big LLMs were trained on similar datasets, so them actually being homogeneous in their responses, unless deliberately fiddled with like Elon did with Grok that one time, makes sense. Because these big LLMs are trained mostly on English, they tend to have a Western bias, which can create issues such as flattening other cultures. This is why I'm so wary of AI translations. As a free fan translation, sure, I don't care. But for licensed paid products, no. This flattening is part of why 7C is being bought by a company that promotes AI translations is so problematic. But also, is Gen AI technology flattening us in other ways? I never really thought about this until I watched this video. In it, he talks about software brain and how it makes tech bros want to view the world as datasets, but that's not how people experience the world. So this focus on data is actually flattening us. And then there's what training data can do to LLMs. Monocollapse happens when LLMs degrade as a result of being trained on purely AI-generated data, basically inbreeding. But as fun as it is to think of Gen AI eventually eating itself, I'm not sure how serious this should be taken, if at all. If this video can be believed, companies have already figured out a solution. The part about LLMs needing human expertise to get smarter seems ironic, considering the push to use LLMs for everything is diminishing future expertise. Not sure what the long-term plan here is, but that's neither here nor there. I'm sure AI companies will figure something out, like how they figured out how to prevent model collapse. But what's this? ChatGPT is full of goblins now? How curious. That couldn't possibly be the result of model collapse. Something else must be going on, but I'm sure they'll fix it in their next model. Or, depending on when this video comes out, it's already been fixed. Let's ramble about homogeny. There's already been concerns about Grammarly, or I suppose any grammar checker that lets you rephrase sentences, homogenizing language. LLMs do something similar, but at a larger scale. I'm sure more research needs to be done, but here are some articles I found, like this one about how using LLMs leads to internalized homogenization, colonizing how we think without us realizing, or this one on how LLMs are able to sway our opinions even when we watch for biases. Then there's this article on how using LLMs for creative tasks is making people more uniform, or this opinion piece on why using LLMs for help brainstorming story ideas is not just homogenizing ideas, but also resulting in the erosion of creative thinking. My favorite article was this one on cultural stagnation. Basically, even without model collapse, even with human guidance, LLMs are still stripping away some details and amplifying others in ways that are oriented towards what's average. And unless steps are taken to resist convergence towards statistically average outputs, generative AI will continue to drift towards mediocre and uninspired content. There's just something so fascinating about how using an LLM could increase output but lead to less creativity. It's interesting to think about the effect of LLMs on us depending on how we use them. Like, could over-reliance on generative AI lead to stagnation? How much has using LLMs affected how we speak and interact with others? Should we be worried about it being addictive? Are we losing something, becoming thoughtless, by having LLMs write for us, even if it's just an email? Are LLMs just a conformity trap? It's also interesting to think about, and I'm excited to find out what future studies will discover. Before I go, it would be irresponsible not to mention the mental health risks of using LLMs, or more specifically, interacting with chatbots, whether romantically or platonically. Due to the sycophantic nature of chatbots and how they've been trained to keep users interactive and engaged at all costs, even if that means enforcing or creating delusions, has led to cases of people experiencing AI psychosis. Thankfully, more people are talking about this, lawsuits have been filed, and hopefully more guardrails will be and continue to be added to make cases harder to happen in the future. Also, apparently deathbots exist, and I'm not sure how to feel. It's not hard to compare this to that Black Mirror episode, only there the technology was vastly superior to what we have currently. I'm unclear about the morals and ethics of this, but it feels like it could be exploitative. Both of my parents have passed away, and I would never create a deathbot of them because they're dead. And this isn't going to bring them back, but people grieve differently. Just because this wouldn't help me doesn't mean it can't help someone else. I would love to speak to my parents again, to wake up and see them. I am so grateful that my library has this annual Writers Live program where authors come and promote their books. Back in 2018, Edwidge Danticat visited and promoted her book, The Art of Death. I took my mom to meet her, and we got a signed copy of it. I remember skimming through it and reading how, in the chapter Living Dying, Danticat found her deceased mother's cassettes. This gave me the idea to have my mom record herself while she went on her walks. She actually agreed, and then that same year in November, my mom passed away. But if I want, I can still listen to her voice, and that's a gift. I tried doing something similar with my dad, but he refused. I did convince him to use Storyworth, though, and that's a gift too. So I love the idea of leaving something behind for the people who love you. I just don't trust the companies behind deathbots not to be shady. And whether it's a regular chatbot or a deathbot, there's a real risk of becoming attached, which could be fine if these didn't get real expensive real quick, but at that point you're emotionally invested. It feels insidious, but I worry that my growing distrust of businesses and bias against chatbots could be coloring my view. It would be helpful to hear from others what their experiences have been to get a better idea of the situation. I wouldn't say that I'm anti-AI, just that the more I learn about Gen AI and LLMs, the more I don't want to use them if I don't need to. I still occasionally use Gemini, but as a last resort, not a first step. I'm also always open to try new novelty AI products, especially when I'm a certain level of depressed, resulting in me being more apathetic and craving that feeling of being excited. So I don't hate AI, and I'm not saying don't ever use LLMs. I'm saying there are problems that need to be addressed, and they don't need to be used for everything. Sure, I long for the days before ChatGPT existed, not because of the technology, because of everything I mentioned in this video, and some things I didn't. I understand this technology has its uses, and it's not like I haven't benefited from it too. And it's not like Anthropic and Co are our only options here. I don't know much about this, but open source local models exist. They may not be as good as Anthropic and Co, but they're not awful, and they don't come with the same baggage. I'm not sure about the cost, but I'm confident there's no person or group behind local models pushing for the world to be covered in hyperscale data centers at least. There are also Chinese models like DeepSeek. Sure, they come with their own baggage, but they are cheaper and catching up to Anthropic and Co. I could be wrong, and this may be wishful thinking, but I think Anthropic and Co are a dead end, at least in their current form. If AI is the future, we should be treating it as such. We need to regulate because these companies aren't going to regulate themselves, and they sure aren't going to hold themselves accountable. It's unfortunate, but our current US government is what it is. But we still do something. We keep voting them out or give enough opposition they resign on their own. And let's not let what happened in Maryland, where they signed a bill that banned dynamic surveillance pricing, but with loopholes that benefited the companies being banned instead, continue being the norm. But I've rambled enough. There's a lot happening with Gen AI. There's a lot I didn't cover, and I wouldn't be surprised if parts of my video are outdated by the time I post it because of how quickly things seem to be moving. But this and my previous video are enough for me. I'm ready to focus on writing again. I can't see myself ever making another video like this. It was a real struggle, but I'm glad I did it. Just next time I'm gonna try journaling instead. If you made it this far, don't forget to like the video, and thank you for watching. Next video will be the final part of my Gen AI tangent trilogy, and it will cover my complicated thoughts on other people using Gen AI to write. Be sure to check it out when it's available. Bye!